Welcome back to American Agenda. Texas Governor Greg Abbott continuing his fight with the Biden administration over the border. Texas now taking over a public park in Eagle Pass to stop Border Patrol agents from processing migrants there.
Yeah, that's right. The news coming as Biden's border crisis is now causing controversy for the Department of Veterans Affairs, the department being criticized for reportedly paying millions of medical providers who treat illegal immigrants while hundreds of thousands of veterans await assistance.
Amazing and hard to believe. And joining us now to discuss is USMC veteran, the founder of VETCOMM, and a congressional candidate from California, Kate Monroe, and also USMC veteran and founder of the Shadow Warriors Project, Mark Geist. Mark, I will start with you. I want to put some numbers out there so people really understand what we're talking about. In fiscal year 2022, the VA's Austin, Texas-based Financial Services Center processed 161,538 claims, paying out an average of $584 for each one. If you add all of that up, that ends up being $94.3 million of taxpayer money. And here's where it gets even more interesting. The VA claims it has a backlog. Actually, it does. 417,855 claims have yet to be processed. So the VA is handing out money to migrants, but not to people who have served our country. That's the bottom line here behind all of these numbers. What's going on?
Failure to lead, failure in leadership at the highest levels, and failure to take care of those who have sacrificed so much for us around the world, here at home as well. All of our veterans who have served deserve much better treatment than this. We've promised that to them, and this administration has failed to uphold that promise.
Kate, I feel like the Biden administration just has it all screwed up here. The priorities are wrong here in the United States. We must take care of our veterans, our military men and women in this country. They continue to not do so here. This is disturbing. I don't know how else to put it.
Oh, I'd say it's more than disturbing. You know, you saw 161,000 migrants treated. The VA has also reallocated the HUD-VASH program that's meant to house homeless veterans. They've reallocated that to migrants. They let 1 million federal employees get seen at VA hospitals ahead of our veterans. And it's disgusting. It's deplorable. The deprioritization of all Americans, even our kids now, we're seeing in schools in New York. But putting veterans last when veterans, quite frankly, should be first is unconscionable. And we need to do better as a nation and vote differently and vote these people out.
Mark, we do have to point out that despite the numbers, VA Press Secretary Terrence Hayes says the VA does not provide health care to migrant detainees, and he claims U.S. Immigration and Customs pay for it. But Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville tells the New York Post that the Biden administration is, quote, playing word games, and that's why he introduced legislation to try to protect our heroes. We do hear the Biden administration playing a lot of word games. We know that the Inflation Reduction Act, for example, was anything but. Mark.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're saying one thing and doing another. They're playing a shell game with veterans' lives. And fortunately that we have organizations like Shadow Warriors Project and so many other veteran service organizations that have filled the gap of the failures of the VA to support our veterans themselves. And, you know, I think it's unconscionable that the VA is using resources for that purpose. And I mean, I've been getting calls all morning long about it from veterans around the country. Why is this going on? What's going on? And it's ridiculous. We have to demand that this stop if it takes a lawsuit. I don't know if that's even feasible. Sue the federal government in a class action lawsuit, every veteran that's not getting service because they're putting somebody else before us.
I'm tired of the narrative, especially when you hear this number. Again, $94 million in taxpayer money went out to these illegal migrants here. And then you have this giant backlog here, Kate, of about 1,700,000 veterans waiting to get their claims here. Again, what do we got to do in this country? I just think our priorities, especially with this Biden administration, they're not right.
Well, the first thing we have to do, other than stop, what's going on with the VA, one of the biggest things that we need to do is close our border. I think we need to declare a state of emergency, send the National Guard to the border while we build a wall, and we need to reform immigration while we also stop repurposing VA federal funds that are meant to go to veterans and their families. You're seeing, still the number of 22 veterans commit suicide every single day. The rise in veteran homelessness of 7% happened because the reallocation of funds to migrants. Billions of dollars actually are being spent on migrants. And quite frankly, we can't afford it, and we need to stop the onslaught at the border immediately.
Yeah, clearly, we have what it takes. The resources are there for our veterans, just being diverted to people who aren't even American citizens.
Kate Monroe, illegally.
Yeah, illegally here. It's mind-blowing. Kate Monroe, Mark Geist, we thank you both for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. God bless.
Thank you.